Another day in the NBA and our last slate before a little Thanksgiving break, one day off. So let's make it count, guys. And of course, the work begins as it always does here on the Splash Play channel. We're going to dig in and compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see who the top plays are, who the top value plays are, who the chalk is. We'll go game by game as well, highlighting some of the highest owned plays, maybe some leverage thoughts along the way. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run a sim without my interference, and maybe even do a single lineup sim today because I don't think anything has changed. And by the end of this video, guys, you'll know all the industry's must plays along with my splash plays for November 26th. 2025. Let's get into it here. Hope it was a good night for you guys last night. There was some tough chalk that did not hit, unfortunately. A lot of stuff we talked about in that slate ended up coming to fruition with guys getting ruled out late and all that. But good news for me, and hopefully for some of you guys that are following my data, I did finish number 11 in the 4-point play yesterday, so had a nice little profit, feeling good about things. I've had a really good week at DFS besides the Monday Night Football showdown slate, which was a real kick in the nards. But either way, guys, the work begins here, as it always does, looking at my data, and hopefully you guys are having a good run for yourselves. And if not, hope you're just having fun. You know, that's what we're looking for here. Shout out to the chat. We got the hello from Charlie here. We got Chunk here. Thank you for the kind words about my hit. Yes, of course, Chunk in the Discord, he knows about it. Let's rock the slate. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to all you guys as well. Of course, you know, if you're however you're celebrating, I know sometimes with family, you know, for me now, I'm going to my in-laws tomorrow. And previous days, though, I was happy to get a bachelor Thanksgiving going, just hang out, watch some football, smoke, have some gross food, whatever. So whatever the joy you are getting out of Thanksgiving, try to get some joy. Make it count. All right, guys, we got our top projected players right now. Giannis, Q-tag, but he is on the projections or in the projections right now in the data set. 22% expected ownership for him. I am low on him. Gave him a little bit of usage boost that he gets without Kevin Porter this year, but as a result of the other guys in the Bucks growing into their own skin, Ryan Rollins in particular, it has been a spot for me where Giannis is not projected so well lately. And Giannis, too, a little bit of a lower minutes projection for him, 31 minutes, coming off the injury for himself. Obviously, Milwaukee does not want to ding him up. He doesn't want to hurt himself either at this point, given the fact that, well, no player ever wants to hurt himself. But also, it seems like a pretty fragile time in the Bucks right now where, you know, he might be traded at some point. You want to keep him healthy for that, and he wants to keep himself healthy in case he's not there long term. But for Giannis at 11.5, the big thing is that he projects for me for 53.3. Şengün is at 51.5. So as a result, Giannis to me just not as much of a priority play as he might be on other slates. And frankly, too, the value on the slate as of right now, it's, you know, 2:04 p.m. on the East Coast. Nobody meaningful has been ruled out. We don't really have that, you know, even compelling projection value. Guys like Justin Edwards yesterday, Champagny on the Wizards, like guys who didn't really have a great projection, but at least they were cheap and kind of had like, you know, 15 to 25 fantasy points worth of projection. You don't really have those guys in the slate a ton either. So harder to get to Giannis. The projection doesn't make sense to me with Şengün being a little bit lower. But really, it's Giannis, so, you know, play him if you want. But really, to me, the ownership going to Şengün more than Giannis makes sense. Yeah, that said, 22% expected ownership for Giannis, 23 for Şengün. Playing them both with the field seems better than going too heavy on one, just relative to how NBA slates work. Shout out Parker here. Took down a 10K tourney, but needed Reeves to get me from 11th to 1st in the $18 100K. Well, hey, there we go. That was where I was too. But honestly, I was like 20 points behind first place in the 4-point play. So I really had no realistic shot. But the Luka Reeves combo, I defended yesterday, talked about the LeBron part of it with him. If you gave him last year's rates, he kind of just knocked those guys down to a less of a smash play spot. But I had LeBron projected for a little bit under 45. He hit 45. Those guys, Luka meaningfully exceeded his projection. It's been great growth for Austin Reeves, not giving up a ton of usage with LeBron back in. So I'm proud of him, if nothing else. SGA at number 3 here. 5% ownership for the field. I'm getting 4. SGA is a Q tag, but did go through shoot around. So my expectation is that he does go. That said, lately we saw Embiid go through shoot around. Yesterday he didn't play, so maybe that doesn't mean as much as it used to. But overall, for how it looks with Şengün and Giannis, they project better to me. Again, I'd rather pay for Şengün at 9,900 going against the Golden State team that has no real center presence that matters going against Şengün. Would rather pay for him than go all the way up for Giannis, go all the way up for SGA. So really, SGA, great tournament option with no ownership on him, theoretically. But he's not been hitting that ceiling lately. And if OKC does run away with the game, I don't think it's as likely based on the spread. But, you know, OKC still a 10-point favorite, 9.5-point favorite against Minnesota. There's a lot of ways SGA doesn't make winning lineups pretty frequently, but maybe today give them a boost because they're going against Minnesota. They should be able to hang into the fourth quarter, and at the very least, you're getting 32 minutes of run from SGA, and that's not been the case on that run where they're blowing out everybody, and it was like 28 minutes a game. So SGA not coming up, that alone makes him compelling because of how DFS works. Help keep you off LeBron, but couldn't get on board with Austin Reeves. Well, hey, that happens. Look, ultimately, any good finish will take, as you guys know at this point. So shout out to Parker again. Shout out to all you guys too that have hits that aren't in the chat as well. Karl Anthony Towns, 22% ownership for me. Fields at 12. Cat, one of the reasons I did pretty well the other night was because of Cat putting up 60 fantasy points. He and Jeremy Grant were options that seemed a little bit under-owned. On this slate here is Mitchell Robinson expected to play. You still have Anunoby out. You still have Shamet out. That helps a little bit. But Cat, I think the less compelling play between him and Brunson. That said, I am getting these guys both around 20%. So really no issue with Cat besides the fact the price tag is up. And the situation's a little bit worse because he's not playing pure 5 as opposed to when Mitchell Robinson is out. I think part of why you saw Cat hit that 60 fantasy points is because of Mitchell Robinson not being in. With Robinson being expected in today, a little bit harder to get to Cat or like him quite as much, even though I am above the field. And let's see. Brunson, kind of talked about him already. He's putting up good usage on the year, 33% usage without Anunoby on the court, 32% assist rate as well, 1.25 fantasy points per minute, a little bit behind what Cat's been doing at 1.37. But these two guys are your two top Knicks options. Really no issue going to either against Charlotte. But, first game on the slate, if there is any injury stuff that hangs over the slate, you lose some flexibility. Let's say Giannis's Q tag drags out, and you could get to, well, let's see, is Milwaukee's one of the early games. Milwaukee's at 7:30. So, really your biggest thing would be if we didn't know Giannis' status and you play Towns and Brunson, you lose some flexibility because of them locking, before you have a chance to swap. But really, besides that, they're playing Charlotte, soft matchup, NBA Cup as well. So maybe they pad the points total a little bit more as well. No issue with Towns and Brunson besides the fact they just don't look like Şengün to me. Scotty Barnes, 21% for me right now. Fields at 16. Think the Field's going to chase Brandon Ingram a good amount after he put up the outlier scoring effort last game for Toronto. No RJ Barrett again. He's going to be out another week, it looks like. So Barnes looks better. Ingram looks better. As we always talk about here, when you get a high usage player out like an RJ Barrett, the entire team is just going to soak up a little bit of usage. But we have, for Toronto, our 3 priority guys of Barnes, Ingram, Emmanuel Quickly. Rate-wise, you get Ingram at 32% usage without Barrett so far this year. Barnes at 29%. Both guys increasing meaningfully. Both guys also increasing more than Quickly has. Only a 21% usage rate for him compared to a normal about 20. So I think really for Toronto, the fact that they are facing Indiana, a team that we know is pretty dog shit, one of the worst defenses in basketball, also technically a pace up for Toronto. You can go whoever you want. We've seen centers kill versus Toronto as well, or against Indiana as well. Maybe Pirtle gets going and that upsets the chalkiness. It's going to go Barnes, Ingram's way, even Quickly's way. But Toronto's going to be owned because of the fact they're playing Indiana. There's no Barrett. Really, whichever one you want to get's fine, but any of them can spike a big usage day, like Brandon Ingram did last time out. Denny Avdia, you got Shaden Sharp back in, but still no Drew Holiday, so Avdia looks okay. Avdia did not hit the upside last time out. He also didn't project quite as well for me as Jeremy Grant, so Grant had the outlier day at a much cheaper price tag, but Avdia could put up 70 fantasy points. Jeremy Grant is most likely not going to do that. His best day would be close to that 50 he put up last time out. So going back to Avdia after he kind of failed as chalk the last time, he definitely failed as chalk last time out. I don't think it'd be a crazy thing to do. So 15% ownership for Avdia. I'm not really there, but I think there is some game theory sense, as always, going back to the guy that just failed as a pretty popular play the last time that he played. Devin Booker, 16% ownership. I'm at 5. My projection favors Dylan Brooks, who has been gunning relentlessly to start the year. I believe 3 of Brooks's last games have been over 17 shot attempts. Maybe 3 out of the last 4, something like that. But basically, Booker is still kind of playing the same role he always does. Gains a little bit of usage for Grayson Allen being out, Ryan Dunn being out, but overall, he's willing to defer to a second banana, and currently, that's Dylan Brooks. So if Booker hits his upside, Brooks will certainly underhit his projection that I have, being much higher than market. But Booker, I think, a 16% play. I'd rather get to Şengün. I'd rather get to the Knicks guys, personally. I'd rather get to Barnes at a little bit cheaper. But Booker, no issue with the ownership. He just kind of looks like these guys all look like the same guy. I think it's Stokastic data, where my data kind of has preferences for a few of them. Amin Thompson, no Kevin Durant, no Tari Eason still. So he gets a little bit of an uptick in opportunity and minutes. You're losing Steven Adams today as well. So there's more minutes to go around for both the backup 5 and the 4. I think there's going to be an assumption in the data that Capella picks up a good amount of minutes, but Stokastic I think has him for just shy of 18, but it could just be Amin Thompson getting more. It could also be one of the bench guys like a Jeff Green or a JD Davidson getting more. But Amin Thompson should get more opportunity because of not having Durant in. So I don't think he's a terribly exciting player. Fields at 19. I'm getting 29. For Amin Thompson, he gets to 22% usage without Durant, which is like barely an increase in where he is normally. I just don't think he gains a whole lot from Durant not being in, but the crush of minutes, Houston's playing short rotations. That's the stuff that looks good for Amin Thompson at an $8,200 price tag. I'd go against Golden State too. Good amount of high usage, kind of sloppy ball handlers. Amin Thompson could hit his upside from defensive stats always, but on this slate, maybe a little more likelihood of that happening. Steph Curry, no Kuminga, doesn't matter. I just don't get him that much. I've got 0% ownership on Steph. Fields at 2. Steph, the usage rates definitely come up a little bit with no Kuminga. He gets to about 36% usage, 25% assist rate. Definitely can always get going, but going against Houston does not feel like the Steph Curry spot, especially the kind of really the oldest, most washed version of himself. Like he'll still hit shots, but I feel like he looks like a step slow this year personally. And the results have not been super awesome for Steph, like 1.4 fantasy points a minute. That's good. But he's not really doing as much assist upside as he has historically, not rebounding at all. Not that he's ever been a great rebounder, but you got to get there through scoring. And against Houston, it doesn't feel like the spot. Steph gets there through scoring. But no ownership on him. And you've got a lot for pretty much everybody, 8,500 to, 11.5 with Giannis' salary. So just the fact that Steph is unknown, same thing for Anthony Edwards, who I don't think is a great play today. The lack of ownership for these two in SGA is really like your main reason to want to play him. I was talking about you about being old and washed. I mean, we all could feel that in some way. Do we think Missy starts over Queen? Probably not. But he is a threat to take minutes away like he did last game. It took him, absolutely crushing in that spot where he had like a double-double, I think, at halftime to kind of take minutes away from Queen. But if he does do that, he will take minutes away. But I would assume it doesn't change with Queen starting. Like, there's been a commitment from Borrego to get Queen more minutes, throughout. So I wouldn't assume he would. All right, we got value plays coming up here, guys. Before I do that, one quick ask. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe here. Again, it's always a battle fighting the YouTube algorithm. But yesterday was the most watched video on channel history, so I'd like to keep the momentum going here because I'm still doing the work every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. here. I prepare my data. I also do my projections through Saturday because I'm always doing live before locks for Stokastic on those days. But show some love. Again, I'm just one dude running an NBA channel, NFL channel. Everything you see on these shows come from my own little hands. Not even AI. I don't even use AI intelligently, but the thumbnails, all the stuff, it's me here. So please show some love if you can. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll keep showing up for you, doing the work as best I can on my end. And of course, check out Stokastic too. They have some Thanksgiving deals going right now. Their gravy deal for NFL gets you, I think, 50% off a week, but you can also get 15% off monthly packages, all the packages, cheap stuff, expensive stuff by using that promo code SPLASH. And you guys have been really doing that, so please keep doing it here. The more you guys support the show by clicking that link, signing up for whatever you want on Stokastic, even use other promo codes. As long as you click the link, I get attribution, and then half the money you give to them comes to me. So it's a real win-win for you and me because you get cool stuff that'll make you better at DFS, and I get money, and that's the goal. So please hit the like button, please subscribe here this holiday season. Do it for me, little tiny Tim Spags. Please click the link and join the Discord too if you want my projections, the data I show you here on screen. Again, I straight away just run my projections on the solver last night with the bounce rate at 20%, and that's what got me on a lineup to finish top 10. That's my data for you. Of course, my data is not perfect. It won't win you money by itself. The same thing as Stokastic's data, but it will give you a leg up and give you some things that look different from the industry projections. So check it out. Join one of the Squirt Squad tiers if you want to see the stuff I show you here on screen, including exportable projections for whatever you're playing on. Love the hustle. Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate it. Your kindness is very much appreciated here always. Sorry about my little hands. Oh, tiny Tim. He does have little hands. How do we feel about the Pacers in Toronto? We're going to go game by game. We'll get there when we get there. But it's a lot of ownership for those guys already. Your top value plays. Clint Capella, number 1, 3K flat salary. You have to give up your center spot to get there, which on this slate means giving up guys potentially like his teammate Şengün. Besides that, it's not really a great center slate, to be honest. Hartenstein looks okay to me. Derek Queen, I'll never have an issue playing, especially after he did bust his mega chalk last game. Khalil Ware, I've not been there on the rise, but he's rebounding like a demon lately. You're going to miss out on him. There isn't a lot of opportunity cost at center, though. It's really Şengün, his teammate, or Capella you could get. So I think for Capella right now, before guys get ruled out, before some players look a little bit worse for whatever reason, or better, Capella looks like the best value on the slate. 3K salary. I got him in 51% of my lineups, which is not super fun. But basically, and we could go to Houston real fast. Houston popcorn machine. So you can see here last game, Adams, I think, was healthy the entire game. He might have gotten hurt in the fourth quarter, but I don't really recall that being the case. But he played 16.5 minutes. Despite him playing 16.5 minutes, Capella still got 13 for himself. So the assumption is that no matter what, Capella's going to get 13, but he should pick up 4, 5, maybe outside shot of picking up 10 minutes that Adams leaves behind. They are willing to play Capella with Şengün, with a little bit less than they do with Adams and Şengün. You can see here, there's some overlap for this stint. There's some overlap for this stint. Again, not a crazy amount. It is mostly Capella or Şengün out there. But there's a chance that Capella gets big minutes. Right now, there isn't great value on the slate. So Capella at 3K, a guy that we know can produce pretty well. And on the year, he's producing like 1 fantasy point per minute? 1.06, so a little bit better than I would have thought. Rebounding at a 24% clip. Like, he could not play the minutes, and it wouldn't be a shocker. I guess they can go small, versus Golden State. But Houston doesn't seem to want to go small, so Capella has a shot at playing more minutes, being productive. I think he's a good value at 3K, even though it's not one of the better values we've had lately, to be real about it. Aaron Holiday getting at 7% ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 11. Holiday closed the last game for Houston, which you might have just seen on screen. Played a ton of minutes, came in with 5 minutes left at the third quarter, and then just played the entire fourth, including the blowout. But for Aaron Holiday, basically, when they need guard defense, that's when you get Aaron Holiday in. For a matchup against Golden State, that does seem like a spot where Holiday would get more minutes because they could cook Reed Shepherd pretty easily. Aaron Holiday at 3,600, not guaranteed minutes, but does project for 21 fantasy points for me, 18 for Stokastic. As a result, I'm getting Aaron Holiday in 11% of my lineups fielded 7. And the difference really is, like, I think Holiday has a good shot at earning more minutes than Capella, but Capella, because he's 3K minimum salary, he just opens up a world of opportunity, really. So Capella looks like a strong play at this spot. Okay. You want a $25 bonus bet, and you're using it to tail me on tails. I don't post any bets on tails, but tail somebody on tails. It's a good product. I don't promote it here because it's Stokastic's deal, but it is a good tool. Check it out. I think they're doing a good job with what they're building over there. They have to pay me if they want to get my content on there, to be real about it. But I appreciate it. You can actually sign up for the Discord stuff and my projections. I think you can get through Odd Shopper if you want, through Tails as well if you want. Dylan Brooks, 49% sim ownership. Field is at 11. Big stand for me here on Dylan Brooks. He looks like a top value for me because he's producing incredibly well to start the year. And this is one of those things with Dylan Brooks where people have now filed him away as a pure 3-and-D guy. In reality, he thinks he's a superstar. He thinks that he's doing a great job on there. So for Dylan Brooks at this point, I'm happy to see him getting the usage for himself. He's gotten even more with Grayson Allen off the court, 31% usage rate this year compared to a normal 29% when Allen's available. But really for Dylan Brooks, producing 1.1 fantasy points a minute, 57.5% true shooting, a little bit lower. I think that for Dylan Brooks, he definitely projects better for me than Stokastic. So if you want to get less here, get 15%, get at least with the field 10%. That's cool. But Brooks has been a guy who's hit for me on multiple slates. He's getting up a lot of shots this year. And today he's playing Sacramento, who's one of the worst defenses in basketball and is a pace up spot for the Suns as well. I think Brooks will be under-owned today because that price tag's come up and nobody wants to play him. Nobody likes him. But really, it's a big stand for me. Half my lineups have Dylan Brooks, fields at 10% and change. Almost 11. Jamal Shed, we've talked about enough times recently on slates where there's no value. Jamal Shed pops up for me. Gains a little bit in production from not having RJ Barrett in. Theoretically, a little bit in minutes as well, but he's mostly just going to play the minutes that quickly doesn't play, plus a little bit more on top. But that's it for Shed. No great values. So Fields at 13, I'm getting 22. Not an exciting play, but you do often need. I mean, yesterday, my lineup that finished 11th place or whatever, it was 11th place. I don't know why I say or whatever. Finished 11th place. I had Champagny, Barlow. I mean, those were the two that kind of sucked in there. And they gave me Champagny gave me 15, I think. Barlow gave me 23, but I needed to get to those guys to fit, Luka, McCollum, Reeves, Sarr, all that stuff around him. That's sort of the way that I've been playing NBA more lately, to be honest. And being willing to accept these guys that really don't have, great roles. Jamal Shed, not a starter, just a kind of run of the mill, to me, league average backup point guard. Not even like a Ty Jerome one where it's like fun and he's got a lot of upside every day. But the $3,800 salary, unless better value opens up, it allows you to get to those guys that can spike a ceiling around him. So Jamal Shed, Clint Capella, Aaron Holiday, your only guys I will certify today as cheap plays that I'm getting above the field on. Shaedon Sharpe looks like a decent value to me, 7K salary. Ton of usage for Shaedon Sharpe because of not having Drew Holiday in. But in general, Shaedon Sharpe has been chucking this year, has a 33% usage rate. Basically stays around that exact range with Drew Holiday off the court, which is the case for the next week or two. But Sharpe, really the biggest thing is that he's due to shoot better, 53.5% true shooting. Guys like Jeremy Grant, guys like Denny Avdia shooting above league average in ways that I don't know are necessarily going to hold because those guys aren't super great players. But Shaedon Sharpe getting a ton of shots up, getting production against the San Antonio team that is clearly not quite as competent defensively without Wemby helming the middle. I think Sharpe is a good play at 7K. And, if you want to go Avdia, you can. You want to go Jeremy Grant, you can. Those guys project well enough to get there. Sharpe just stands out more meaningfully for me. And we got, besides Sharpe, Harrison Barnes getting an 18% of my lineups, Fields at 8. Really for San Antonio, Barnes is playing reliable minutes and you don't have Wemby. That's kind of the main things there. Still no Castle as well. Castle's been a high usage guy for the Spurs. But really the Spurs at this point, none of them look super great to me. I'm kind of surprised to be getting Barnes ever, but he has produced 0.75. I can't even make the case. He's produced 0.75 fantasy points per minute, but he does get to a 20% usage rate and 11% assist rate with Wemby and Castle off the court. So I think that's the logic for getting to Barnes. I don't love it, but he's 5,100 in power forward, and he probably fits the lineups decently well. Moussa Diabate, 11% ownership for me. Fields at 5. Another guy here. We don't have value on the slate, so you get Diabate, who always projects fairly well. If Diabate were highly owned, going to Kalkbrenner would be logical because he gets the starting run in front of Diabate, and theoretically, if Kalkbrenner were to play well, you would then take minutes away from Diabate. But Diabate playing his backup center run, basically whatever minutes Kalkbrenner doesn't play. I think he's a decent value right now until better value opens up. Getting more than 2x the field on him. AJ Mitchell, my boy. Of course, there are some people out there that'll be obsessed with the fact that I have him slightly better projected than the 28.8 projection that Stokastic has. That's at AJ Mitchell. Good usage. Game as well where, he'll be in the mix as much as he normally is. Won't be a blowout spot, which does mean a little bit more theoretical upside for AJ Mitchell if you don't get that fourth quarter stint for SGA. But AJ Mitchell still producing fairly well on the year. Still probably due to shoot a little bit closer to league average. But 1.06 fantasy points per minute on 25% usage and a 20% assist rate. He's solid, and that's really what AJ Mitchell provides on these slates for me. He won't kill me at guard. The upside, though, is not massive. Reed Shepherd, hard to see him getting the minutes ceiling today, going against Steph. Just think that he's going to get cooked defensively. But Reed Shepherd, if he were to play more, he would hold Aaron Holiday's value at bay. But 15% ownership for Shepherd, I'm getting him at 26. And my projection is 2 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. Shepherd gains usage from Durant being out, Tariq as well. But really, the tough part for him is that he has a hard time closing games because he's just not there as a defender, and I don't know that he ever will be. He is a great producer fantasy-wise, though. On the years, producing 1.03 fantasy points per minute, and the usage should be higher, and assist rate should be higher with Durant and Eason off. So I really have no complaint playing Reed Shepherd. I just think, the ownership seems appropriate. Happy to get about 26% field at 15. Jordan Goodwin, I think Tiffany had asked about before. Jordan Goodwin coming up here, I think enough for me. Fields at 24%. I'm at 25. Goodwin started last game. I thought he looked like a better play than he turned out to be. He played 31 minutes last game for the Suns, but put up it was 17 fantasy points. It was not a good showing. And now I need to look it up because I had him pretty well projected, and I was kind of bummed that he did not play well. He put up 14 fantasy points in 27 minutes, but the games before that, he put up 38 fantasy points in 33 minutes, 30 fantasy points in 29 minutes, 25 fantasy points in 22 minutes. I can keep going. It's actually, he had a lot of games in a row. That was his first like total dog shit game in a while. 28 fantasy points in 22 minutes, 32 fantasy points in 23 minutes. Jordan Goodwin's been pretty good, and he's shooting guard, small forward. A little bit more expensive than you might like at 5,400. But for Jordan Goodwin, he actually has been a solid player. And I would say, if you don't get to the super cheap value guys, a bunch of guys like Goodwin, like Reed Shepherd, like Harrison Barnes, that's sort of your value if we don't get better value opening up and you don't want to go all the way down to your Capella, Aaron Holiday, Jamal Shed tier of guys. Hate the slate already. Look, I didn't love yesterday's slate either. I thought it was going to go poorly, and then I went to sleep and woke up having had a nice profit. So I feel like, there's always good slates, right, guys? I think it's it. But there's not like easy value. That's the one thing that I would like to have in the slate. Even yesterday, like Justin Edwards didn't end up coming through, but like he was an easy click for me, and I like having those easy clicks to build around. We don't really have those today. Brandon Ingram. First of all, I just want to quickly pull up the thumbnail. Most unflattering headshot you have for a player in the NBA. Poor Brandon Ingram. Like the acne is just not great in the headshot. That's not why I'm making the face, though. I'm making the face because he's going to be pretty decently owned. 28% expected ownership for Ingram. I'm at 35. It's a lot of ownership for Ingram, given the fact that, like, you can get a quickly spike day. You could have Barnes go nuts. You could have Grady Dick, Jamal Shed, the lower opportunity guys on Toronto get there. Pirtle dominating at the rim. You could get there. Indiana is just such a limp dick team on their side that I don't think it's a guarantee that you get Brandon Ingram going there in a real way. But for Brandon Ingram, it's a lot of ownership. It's justified. I have him 0.4 higher in projection than Stokastic does. He does gain appreciable usage from having Barrett out. I just think that people are going to chase it a little bit too much and expect him to put up 50 today. And to me, that makes Barnes a better play. That makes Pirtle a better play. That makes Quickly at less ownership a better play. But Brandon Ingram, hard to critique, really. And he's been good. And honestly, I've been historically more of a Brandon Ingram guy than many people. So I'm a little bit surprised. I feel that way about him today. But I just think it's going to be a big chase spot for sure. No amount of money can cure the zit. That is true. That is sad to see. But guys, show some love if you can. We're going to go game by game here. Hit that like button, subscribe. You guys know the deal. Every segment, we got to do it. But we're fighting that YouTube algorithm always, and I appreciate all you people watching here. Get really stoked to see like record level of views on a Tuesday NBA slate yesterday. But ultimately, I got to keep it going here, and I'll keep working as hard as I can for you guys. But help me reciprocate. Hit the like button, subscribe, join the channel as well. $5 to join if you just want to support the show. But if you want my data, join the Squirt Squad tiers. You get that updated throughout the night, and it's the same data I use and literally plunk into the same things you guys are using. And Stokastic too, 15% off. Check out the updated data as the day goes on. Sim stuff, all the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff. It's all 15% off the promo code SPLASH. So click the link down below. Take a look. And yes, listen to the chat. Hit that like button. That's that. All right. We got New York, 123.5 implied points. Charlotte, 117. New York, we've talked about Towns and Brunson. These guys look good. Mikal Bridges, not coming up for me even a little bit. That said, he's been shooting well to start the year, has been assisting better than I would think as well. And really, it's one of those spots, where in NBA DFS, when you get Towns, you get Brunson, thinking about Bridges is normally a decent pivot point. But I don't like that price tag for Bridges. He's never really one of my guys unless we get a Towns or Brunson out. And now he's fully priced up for life without OG Anunoby. So to me, it's mostly Towns or Brunson here. And really, these guys, they could break the slate in the first game of the slate, before everything else locks, and it wouldn't be shocking. Charlotte, 117 implied points on their side. We will save some time here because I'm really getting nothing besides the big men. LaMelo just not playing super well with the mix of Knipple taking more usage. Miles Bridges, and this is a guy, Miles Bridges, that we've talked about a lot, was one of the guys that would get a ton last year on stream when LaMelo was out. And nobody was ever playing him industry-wide. It made me start to like Bridges more, even though he's objectively an awful guy off the court. But Bridges, this week, gave a quote where he said, Con Knipple's been the best guy on the team this year, which feels like a little bit of shade towards LaMelo. But shocking to see Bridges say that, because he thinks he's the best player who's ever played basketball with normally how he approaches things on the court. It feels like this team is shit, and this is not even a DFS thing, but shifting towards Knipple meaningfully right now in terms of how they're perceiving him, how the public's perceiving him. Reggie Miller was like, one day Con Knipple's going to break Steph Curry's three-point record, which is fucking a insane take to have. Knipple's been good. I do think the Knipple's hype's a little bit high. Field's barely playing him, but I feel like for Knipple, he'll always be a little bit more owned than the projection is because people think he's a monster, and Knipple can shoot. But, his rebounding upside, his assist upside, it's going to be higher when you get all those other guys off the court. And now you have Brandon Miller back on as well. And it's kind of, with the Knipple stuff, it kind of reminds me as well of, Earlier in the year when VJ Edgecombe, it's like, oh, VJ Edgecombe, man, this guy's rookie of the year. He's going to fucking smash. And he was getting usage because you had Paul George out. You had whatever secondary other pieces out. Embiid was in and out as well. And like he was playing well because there was a ton of opportunity and the team wasn't healthy. Now you get Brandon Miller coming in. You get LaMelo healthy, if he wants to get traded or whatever. You still have Sexton. You still have Trey Mann there. These guys love to get their own shots up, possess the ball. I just think we're going to see Knipple come back down. So, like I wouldn't bet him rookie of the year as the favorite right now for sure. But yeah, just kind of a general thing. Anyway, nobody's really in play here besides the big men. So I didn't really need to talk about that, but it's been bothering me. Seeing Khan make everything. Yeah, that's great. I mean, he can absolutely win rookie of the year, but like if you're going to rookie of the year, I think you'd want to see like Bridges, LaMelo out for the rest of the season. That's that. And Brandon Miller coming back in is like such a meaningful piece that like, yeah, he's been keeping usage away from Bridges, holding steady with LaMelo, and Miller is like such a silky shooter. Like it's gonna hurt Knipple over the next few games as Miller gets up to speed. The people do like an exciting white. That's sure. They are like, whoa, this white guy's good at basketball. And he is particularly white, to be fair. Milwaukee, 114.5 implied. Miami, 123 implied. Kind of feels like a Giannis not playing total to me here, with them being 8.5-point dogs on the road. But Giannis Q tag on him. I have no lean on if he plays or if he doesn't. If he doesn't play, though, I will tell you, he'll be back on Ryan Rollins Island one more night. Rollins started last game shooting poorly. Whenever he doesn't play well to start the game, Milwaukee descends into total toxicity. It was actually really frustrating last game for Milwaukee. I talked about it in the Discord. But basically, Milwaukee was hanging in versus Portland, trying to make a run down like 15, whatever, 20, somewhere in that range. And like, they're actually playing decently enough where it's like, this might not be over. And Miles Turner at one point just like committed a foul because he didn't want to play anymore. And then that was it. And they called off the starters. And that was the end of Ryan Rollins' day, along with all the other key players from Milwaukee. It's a mess if Giannis doesn't play, is really the main thing here. I think there's upside, pace up spot. Miami, one of the fastest paced teams in the league. Playing good defense, though, with all that pace, 111 points per 100 possessions is above the to the higher part of the league in terms of defensive efficiency. But I really think if you get Giannis out, I am back on the Bucks. Give me Rollins, maybe Portis, maybe Kuzma, maybe Turner, but definitely give me Rollins, and be prepared for the fact that like Milwaukee right now, if Giannis doesn't play, is just pure Lord of the Flies mode of basketball, where if Rollins doesn't get his shots, everybody just takes bad off-balance shots over and over again. It's really a not fun team to watch if Giannis doesn't play. But a really important spot to note, though, because if Giannis doesn't play, I think Rollins is going to be a very good play again. Line move, think he's out. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. It's also in Miami, too, which is not great. Time to trade Giannis. Yeah, I mean, probably the offseason was the move, but, anytime, sure. He'll try, though, when he plays. But if he doesn't play, we're back on Rollins. We are back on Rollins. Miami with Hero back in. You can't play anything. These guys are not priced for Hero to be back in. A Hero came back in, got no assists in his first start, but shot incredibly well, rebounded, got his normal usage up. He's going to impact Powell. And last game he played with Powell and Wiggins out. Now you're getting Powell and Wiggins back in. It's going to be bad for everybody. Jaquez going to play worse. He's your current front runner for sixth man of the year. That's going to go away with, probably going to go away with Hero back in. There's just less usage to go around for how it looks. Yeah, I wouldn't play anything for Miami today. Hero, maybe, but really wouldn't play anything. Wouldn't mind if Longshot Queen got rookie of the year. I would love that too. I think that's a much better bet than Concanipple right now. Look forward, because you also might get Pelicans traded at some point, which would open up entirely for him. Look forward to the show every day after my lunch at work. Thanks for everything you do, Chris. Happy holidays. I thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Look, I know I sometimes do focus on the trolls too much because that's my game. I like to make them feel bad and they make me feel bad. But you guys have been really supportive of this channel. I think it's been one of the most supportive and good communities I've built across my career, doing a lot of stuff in content. So I appreciate it too, and right back at you guys. And again, I hope that I reward your faith here by showing up every day, because I know you guys, even if you're not spending money on the channel, it's still your time, your effort, and all of that. So hope it adds value. Indiana, 112 implied points here. I am not with the TJ McConnell ownership. Indiana quietly getting to be kind of a crowded rotation at this point with guys getting healthy. They're not good guys, but they are still bodies out there. Indiana, I feel like we've talked enough about on shows lately where I hate the fact that, they're getting more expensive and there really isn't anybody that is actually good. Nobody on the team shooting well besides Mathurin. Really, for how Indiana looks, It's not a great matchup on paper against Indiana. Better than league average defense. It is a pace down. At a certain point, Indiana's going to hit shots. I've said that enough times here, like Jarris Walker, Ben Shepherd, shooting so far under league average that they wouldn't be professional players if they kept doing this. Even Jay Huff, who's like their 3-point marksman big man, he's shooting terribly. Siakam under average, Nembhard under average. At a certain point, they're all going to start hitting shots, and Indiana will look less dog shit. But they're just a bad team right now, and I don't think I really want to be there against Toronto. Toronto on this side, 122.5 implied points. You got Barnes, Ingram, quickly all picking up between 20 and 30% or 15 and 20% ownership. Pirtle unowned, Mukulishvili, a little bit of ownership. Jamal Shed, a little bit of ownership as a value play on a slate where there is none. I think Ingram is going to get chased a lot. Ingram does gain a lot in usage, but Barnes is really the guy that I think can put up a number that I think would be unmatchable. Like, I just don't think Ingram puts up 50 again. I don't think that's the most likely thing in the world, but he'll get played like it's an assumption that he will. So I'd prefer Barnes. I'm getting more ownership to Ingram because he's a little bit cheaper, but both guys are good plays. Quickly is the one I'm not getting to. I do think at the ownership, he feels like the most live play, but the fact that Stokastic has Barnes lower owned than Ingram and Quickly, I'll definitely be getting Ingram a good amount. I'll get Barnes a good amount when I'm not getting Ingram, and sometimes I'm sure with him. But Quickly is the one that I think projection-wise just doesn't math out for me. But Jamal Shed is the backup. He looks fine. Certainly if he fails the value play, if he were to become a popular value, going to the starter and Quickly would make some sense as well. This game scares the fuck out of me because the Pacers suck and Toronto has their group clinched. Yeah, I think that's fair. And Toronto, too, is like legit good. And if they get hot, they might really put up a lot of points and then not need to play. That's a good point. I frankly have not paid enough attention to the NBA Cup machinations, but Parker with a good call there. If Toronto gets up early, their guys would then have a better shot of busting his chalk. The issue is that they might put up so many points in the first 3 quarters that it might not matter. But that's definitely something to note. And is the Discord monthly or one time? It's monthly. It's monthly. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a one-time fee, but everything I do goes through YouTube. It's just easier for me. So, that's why. But fair to note, if there's some way for me to figure it out at some point to make a one-time fee just for the regular membership, I'll see if I can do it. But that's not on my radar right now. Minnesota, 109.5 implied points here. Going against OKC, it's hard to like that ever. You've seen a lot of team totals today. You know, the good defense I always point out, usually around giving up 111, 112, 113 points per 100. OKC's giving up 104 points per 100. They are just like so locked in as a defense. That said, Minnesota is good. Like, Minnesota got a bunch of guys shooting above league average besides Naz Reid, and Naz Reid has his own special set of skills for sure. Naz Reid's also smoked OKC in the past. Hard to pay for that price tag off the bench, but he has had that tournament ceiling off the bench before. I don't see how you play Minnesota, but if you want to play SGA, you know, I think that you're like, he'll get his full run of minutes and you play maybe some Minnesota bringbacks. That's one way to get unique here, but the price tags are pretty expensive for a game that doesn't have a great total against an absolute lockdown defense on Minnesota side. Minnesota rather going against the lockdown defense. OKC getting AJ Mitchell. My standard amounts above the field here. Of course, my projection is 3.5 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. So it always comes down to 1 AJ Mitchell, 3 in the data here. Isaiah Hartenstein going against Gobert. I don't love getting 2x the field ownership, but he projects well enough. Yeah, I'm just not crazy about the SGA play, even though I do think that he'll play 4 quarters a run today. Holmgren never really pops up to me. It's really tough price tags for a team that has not really been as consolidated as it was last year, is I think the main things in the data. But certainly should be competitive games. So if you want to play OKC for the tournament upside, I think you can. Especially SGA, under 5% ownership. Cooper Flack should be the rookie of the year. No, he really shouldn't yet. Yeah, I think he'll get there, but like, he's not playing well enough, to be honest. He's doing too little of everything. He's doing a little bit of everything, but you know, doing too little of everything. Chet is from Minnesota. That's true. Reed and PJ have OKC's number. They ball it every time against them. Okay. I mean, it's still small sample size DVP stuff, but if you want to follow that, knock yourself out. Memphis here, 119.5 implied points. You get Jaren Jackson back in. As a result, nobody looks quite as good. Aldama priced up. Vince Williams priced up as your technical starting point guard. Cam Spencer off the bench. Can get hot. Can take minutes away from Vince Williams. He's done it before. Salary's a little bit high for Cam Spencer at $4,700, but again, on a slate where there isn't great value right now, getting him at 17% and trying to hit that upside against a New Orleans team that is a bad defense, that makes sense. but a little pace down spot for Memphis. If you told me there was a tournament winner from this team because they're facing New Orleans, it wouldn't be crazy. But projection-wise, I just don't think they're going to come up a lot for me. And Cedric Coward, by the way, kind of fallen off planet Earth lately compared to how we started the year. He just seems like with Ja Morant being out, he's just like watching the other guys a lot. And I don't know what's going on with Coward, but I'm not super impressed watching a lot of Grizzlies games lately as I keep getting these fuckers on slates with Morant and Jaren Jackson out. New Orleans, 116 implied points. Zion, I've got a lot lower than Stokastic, about 6 fantasy points lower because I do have more projection flowing towards Derek Queen to Fears to Sadiq Bey, all these guys. Don't think there's a lot I love from New Orleans, but Sadiq Bey getting more minutes because of Herb Jones being out at 5,100, that stands out. Alvarado, not really a projection play. He can hit on any given night if he plays well off the bench, but you don't really need him. He's not really good enough value at 4K. Yeah, I don't really like anything too much on New Orleans. Going back to Derek Queen after he failed is like a 60% owned play. It's always going to be a good DFS move, I think, to some extent. Sadiq Bey has been paying off enough for me lately that I'm happy to get whatever amounts I get there. He's one of those guys for like a balanced build at 5,100, I think works. But, you know, Zion really should have a bigger ceiling day at some point. It just feels like, I don't think he's like half-assing it. From watching the games, he just defers to these guys more than I would have thought. And that's a good thing because, like, he might not be in New Orleans long-term, but Derek Queen's probably going to be. Fears is probably going to be. Murphy probably going to be. So it's a bit of a weird situation for New Orleans where I think they're actually playing good basketball right now, relatively, especially. But Zion has just not been the guy leading the charge. Phoenix, I forgot we have all the games too on DraftKings slate today. There are no games that are unique to one site today, guys, as well. So you're playing the entire slate, which does mean if anything weird happens, you have to be paying attention until 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. East Coast time. So keep that in mind. Bay with back-to-back 40 bombs, so I'll surely get burned by that. Yeah, that's fair. If you're box score watching, Bay might come up more, but he just projects well for me and has the last 2 games too. Phoenix, 119 implied. You're getting ownership for Booker. Really, all the guys getting some ownership here. They're facing Sacramento, who is one of the worst defenses in basketball, and as they pace up, so it makes sense. Dillon Brooks, though, is the one standing out the most for me. He's been playing really well in an un-Dillon Brooks way compared to the Houston defender guy we saw. He's now embracing this opportunity to chuck, and Dillon Brooks has historically loved to chuck. I do have Dillon Brooks for more points today than Booker, which feels a little bit nuts. Look at their per 100 numbers. Okay, well, that's why. The reason that I have Brooks for more points is that Devin Booker's put up 35.9 points per 100. Dillon Brooks has put up 34.7. And Brooks technically gains more usage from Grayson Allen being out than Booker does. So that's the reason for it. That does feel, again, a little bit scary, but I've had Dillon Brooks upside a lot lately in my lineups. I'm willing to keep riding it. If you guys want to play less, play 15% Dillon Brooks, and you're probably fine. Colin Gillespie, another guy too. If he plays better, this Brooks projection is probably wrong. Mark Williams, the minutes have not been great for him, so hard to get to him. Fields getting there at 23%. Jordan Gooden, we talked about, had a lot of good games lately besides the last one. I think going back to him here with more minutes to go around the wing because I know Grayson Allen also looks good. And Royce O'Neal, 30 minutes in the projection set. You get any of these guys. I mean, it's a spot against Sacramento. Really hard to be mad at anything. Besides your Nick Richards, Iguodala, Livers, you don't need to play those guys. Sacramento, even with Sabonis out, nothing coming up for me here, so let's save some time. Nobody looks that good. If I were going to play anybody, I mean, the field's playing Malik Monk at 4,400, I guess. San Antonio, nothing too great here either. I hope this is not the day Brooks punches somebody in the face. I hope he's happy with his high usage role and keeps playing accordingly. For San Antonio, it's Barnes, and that's it. De'Aaron Fox, you can make the case for it. 9,300, that's a lot, though. You have a lot of good plays around 9K on the slate. Vassell and Keldon Johnson, I gave them the rate boosts I've been giving them. Used to get them when they were a little bit cheaper, and during this current run of both Castle and Wemby being out. But adding Dylan Harper into the equation also throws the usage equation off a little bit. I think if you got Harper ruled out, and he's a Q tag right now, I believe, it would make these guys look a little bit better, and they would get into some lineups. As it is right now, though, it's only Barnes coming in for me because Harper, I think, being in the mix, throws off the feng shui pretty meaningfully. Portland, 120.5 implied points. Avdia, not coming up for me, but I think he makes sense after busting his mega chalk the last slate. Shaden Sharp, though, is the one that stands out the most to me at his price tag. A lot of usage go around with Drew Holiday out. And Sharp has been a guy who's been chucking with Drew Holiday on the court. He'll chuck even more with Drew out. Jeremy Grant gains usage as well. I got him 2x the field here. He paid off massively in my data the other day at under 10% ownership. Donovan Clingan, not the guy for me at 5% ownership, field at 11. It's a good total for Portland. Decent matchup. So, sure. And Houston, Golden State, last game on the slate, and then we'll run some sims without my interference. Getting Şengün above the field, getting Amin Thompson above the field. Talked about these guys before, so let's save some time on them now. Jabari Smith, I'm over on. Reed Shepherd, I'm over on. Getting 26% in the field at 15 for him. Okogie, I'm light on. Certainly, if you get less minutes for Capella, I would think that Okogie's one of the guys who could play more. He and Aaron Holiday both. Capella, though, is a value option in half my lineups right now. Yeah, I don't know. Really, it's the top rotational guys in Capella, I think. Unless Jeff Green randomly got a bunch of minutes today because of Steven Adams being out. That's like the one possibility here. And Jeff Green is the exact same projection, or exact same price tag, rather, as Capella. The issue is that, to go back to this Houston popcorn machine, Jeff Green didn't play until the blowout. So my assumption is that he is safely behind Capella in the rotation. But it's possible that that'd be the case. How can you not like Clingan? Clingan projects for 25 minutes and he's 6K and he's producing 1.16 fantasy points per minute, which is like fine. He's really not a special player so far. I know that our guy Robert F. the Turd loves him too, but very easily I could not like Clingan, I think. But you can play him. He's not like unplayable or anything. Then I have Feng Shui. I always think Feng Shui about how things align. Obviously, it doesn't make sense for data, but you know, I do think of it a lot in my brain. Golden State, 113.5 implied. Getting nothing here, so we could save some time. Gary Payton, borderline playable. I think it's a value option. He's coming up a little bit more for me, but they moved his minutes down slightly. That's it. Really, yeah, Golden State going against Houston doesn't look great, and I just think they're going to shut down Steph Curry. So maybe Butler gets there. I feel like a spot versus Houston kind of feels like a Butler spot. Rugged. But they're not even playing in Texas, which would be another Butler thing as well because he's from Texas. That's just pure narrative. They just don't project that well, ultimately. But let's go run a sim on Stokastic. You've seen all my takes. Now we can see what the sims have for us without my interference. Data was updated a couple hours ago, but nothing's changed since then. So thank God. We'll see what they have for us. But guys, again, hit that like button, subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. I'm just one guy doing the best I can to give you a leg up in NBA. But of course, I am here Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Not tomorrow because there's no slate, and also it's Thanksgiving. But I'll be back on Friday, barring something weird happening that I got to take care of family-wise. So come back then. And of course, 6 days a week, want to get my data, do that, join the channel, Squirt Squad tiers, all the stuff I show you here on screen. You get access to if you join one of those tiers down below. If you just want to support the show, it's $5 to join. You get a cool Discord, and you also get my NFL data too if you join this channel. And last but not least, Stokastic, 15% off. You guys have been signing up, so please keep doing it. But check it out. If you haven't played with Sims before, it is a really important part of the process. And if you just want professional caliber data that thousands of people are using on a given DFS night, Stokastic will take good care of you. So check them out. All the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff, 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. So use it, support the show. Pretty please. Seeing Sharp as a Q tag, do I have a strong lead he plays? I think he does play. I think he went through shoot around. But if he doesn't play, Avdia will look better. Jeremy Grant will look a lot better. So that's that. But I hope he plays because I think he's a fun tournament play. All right. It depends on the day. Lately, to be totally candid, I just have been running the solver with bounce rate rules on. The issue I run into with Stokastic Sims is that when I'm off market on projections, I then don't get enough of the Dylan Brookses or the Ryan Rollins. So it makes a little bit less sense for me with me wanting to originate my own data. But if I do put the sim stuff in the data stuff on the Google sheet rather, for the exportable projections where you could just run a Stokastic sim with my data and do it that way. It would probably be more logical to do it that way. I just want my data to be the thing I use for my gambling every night mostly. And with Stokastic sim, I lose some of that. Is kind of the issue I have. All right, top ROI lineups with Stokastic data, which is the safer thing to default to, as always. We got Jalen Brunson, Brandon Ingram, Jarris Walker makes this one. Karl Anthony Towns, Mark Williams, Jamal Shed, Santi Aldama, Clint Capella. The Capella part I'm on board with. Some of the other parts here, Jarris Walker, Mark Williams, not so much. TJ McConnell at number 2, Brandon Ingram, Jarris Walker, Giannis, Mark Williams, Malik Monk, Alperen Şengün, Clint Capella. The Capella value definitely coming up easy here. Mark Williams coming up more than I would have thought. Jarris Walker too. Jamal Shed at number 3. Brandon Ingram again. Jarris Walker again. Cat again. Isaiah Jackson makes this one. TJ McConnell makes this one again. Giannis, Mark Williams. Stokastic loves Mark Williams today. Jesus. Number 4, Jalen Brunson, Cam Spencer, Jarris Walker. Zion makes this one. He's due for a ceiling day for sure. He's just definitely deferring a lot to start this run. Isaiah Jackson, Devin Booker, Royce O'Neal, Mark Williams. I am shocked with the amount of Mark Williams. Number 5, Jalen Brunson, Brandon Ingram, Jarris Walker again. Şengün makes this one. Mark Williams again. Cam Spencer, Royce O'Neal, Jamal Shed again. There are parts I agree with here and parts I don't, but that's great. So take whatever you want from that one. Definitely a lot of love for Mark Williams that I was not mostly prepared for. Maybe not a surprise here. Highest ROI guy across this run of Stokastic data is Mark Williams. Slightly negative ROI, but we care about the directional accuracy of it. So Mark Williams, your number 1 ROI guy. Number 2, Jamal Shed. Number 3, Malik Monk. Number 4, Jarris Walker. Number 5, Brandon Ingram. If you gave me Shed, Ingram, that's top ROI guys. Capella right behind, sure. I like Jarris Walker generally. I just don't know what the point is of going to him now. What do they have his minutes as? They've got him playing 25.5 minutes. It's weird because I'm historically like above Stokastic on Jarris Walker. He's one of those guys. Like there are guys that in data sets you'll just come up, and if it's your data, you'll know like, oh, this guy always comes up. Why? Jarris Walker's one of those guys that always comes up for me, and he's not coming up at all, and he's coming up for them. A little bit odd. All right. Today looking like a Rockets day for sure with the total and no Durant, no Eason. Like you take Durant and Eason off alone, that would have been enough. But a high total game, Golden State also not a great defense. That's a lot of factors coming together. And it's a really consolidated rotation for Houston generally as well. Your highest exposure players in Stokastic's top 150, 3x the field on Mark Williams. You're getting him in 2/3 of lineups. Fields at 22. Stokastic loves Mark Williams. If you want to go with that today, that's something I've not heard people talking about industry-wide, and they are all over him. Brandon Ingram, 63% exposure, Fields at 28, so a pretty big stand on Brandon Ingram. Very much an obvious play today. Went nuts last game. It all makes sense. Number 3, Clint Capella, 41% exposure. Fields at 22. I was getting 50 in my run. No issue with that. 3K minimum salary. Certainly would love to have better value open up, but if it doesn't, I think Clint Capella is your value play du jour. Giannis, 36% exposure. Fields at 22. Again, Q tag and the total make me think he might not be playing today, but if he's in, I get it. And if he's not in, Ryan Rollins season. Let's go. Even Stokastic will give you Ryan Rollins, I think, if you get Giannis out. Number 5, Jamal Shed, 33% exposure. Fields at 14. Shed, a good value play on a slate without him. That has been the case for him on a lot of slates lately. And not too far behind Shed, Brunson at 33% ownership, Royce O'Neal at 31, and Jarris Walker at 31. A lot of Jarris Walker. McConnell popping up. Yeah, I get it. I mean, he's cheap. He's kind of the same thing for me as Shed, so I get it. Use the Stokastic sims to show ownership or see ownership, then hand build 5 players and let the sim complete the lineup. Look, I think there's a lot of ways. I mean, look, ultimately, for anything you're doing gambling with, you should do the thing you enjoy the most. And for me, sometimes it's hand building stuff, especially for NFL. I use single lineup sims for that mostly. But like, do the thing you enjoy that's not costing you a lot of money ideally, or not, not making you lose money. But like most people should defer to sims. I think if you make your own data and you've done it long enough, I think using an optimizer like Utical, I believe still uses an optimizer. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat is really the main thing here. Most people, though, would do the best just using Stokastic sims and not blindly. Don't just take the top lineups every day, but using them intelligently, moving projections around a little bit, boosting ROIs and stuff that you have leans on. I think it's generally the most, I'll say idiot proof, but not that you guys are idiots, but like it'll keep most people profitable, even if they are idiots, is the best way to put it. Your highest leverage plays. You got Mark Williams, 44% above the field. Big lean here. I do wonder if that data is going to change. Watch Stokastic live before Lock Show later if you want to see how that looks for free. Brandon Ingram, you're getting 35% more in the field. Jarris Walker, 20% more in the field. Big stands on a few guys I did not see coming. Jamal Shed, 20% more in the field. Clint Capella, 19% more in the field. So nothing new here, but big stands on all those guys. Your biggest fades, I'm curious to see here. They're fading Sadiq Bey, negative 10% leverage. Okay. Jordan Goodwin, negative 8% leverage. He busted his chalk on the late slate last time out, so maybe the field will underplay him here as well. Field's at 24%. Stokastic wants to get 16. Jakob Poeltl, negative 7% leverage. You are barely playing him today. Really think he fits a lot of just the matchup stuff against Indiana. Like, he can put up like 15 rebounds today because Indiana just bricks fucking everything. Donovan Clingan, negative 6% leverage. They're at 4% on Stokastic's top 150. Fields a 10. And Amen Thompson, fade on him. I would find it hard to fade any Rocket today, to be honest. But Amen Thompson, they're fading, negative 6% leverage. All right, let's build this. Let's build a lineup. I don't know what Stokastic's going to want from me here if we're going to agree on what the good plays are. But let me refresh here. Sims can get you started, but your knowledge and takes are where you start to filter out. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, look, I think ideally, deferring to the data first, deferring to ownership more than anything first, like the most important thing. I've said that for NFL in particular, where there are some spots where it's like, man, this is like such a smash EPA metric spot, like the stuff that I look at for NFL and really swear by. And it's like, well, if I'm getting the same play that's like super chalk anyway, and it looks good on like DraftKings DVP numbers, like you're going to end up in the same spot, even if you're using the intelligent way to get there. So ultimately ownership is what matters the most. But yeah, again, lots of ways to skin a cat. Talking too much about skinning cats today. Point guard. Who am I going to go with first? I feel like Jamal Shed, the sim was on board with, and I support that conceptually. Do I do like Sharp at point guard? Do you like Thompson? Do you like Reed Shepherd? Let's put in Capella first as value. Let me get Reed on the value that I know I'm going to play no matter what. I'm going to try to go Reed Shepherd here. I worry about him getting played off the court because of the matchup with Golden State. But I think people are going to play Aaron Holiday on the assumption that's going to happen anyway. So I'm going to take my shot on Reed Shepherd. So 2 Rockets to start here. Shooting guard. I think here's what I'm going to try to get a little bit different. I am going to go Shaden Sharp. Then I'm going to try to go Barnes. Is he power forward only? He is power forward only. So we're not going to play Ingram here, and I'll try to play Toronto through Barnes instead. Who I need at small forward? Dylan Brooks at small forward. Stokastic is not going to agree with that one, but he is one of my splash plays today for sure. We got 6,300 left for a bunch of spots. I would still like to play Şengün. Even though that does feel kind of running counter to Capella. But I'm going to put Şengün in. 4,500 left. To put in Shed. Let's go Shed. Let's go Toronto blows it out. Shed contributes a lot of playmaking off the bench. Then utility, 5,300. I should probably just click show affordable players. That would have been faster. Luke Cornett, Moses Moody, Royce O'Neal, Harrison Barnes. Not my favorite duo in the world or grouping in the world. The sim likes O'Neal the most. I do not. I think my guy out of this would either be Barnes or Bay. I've got Barnes at 28. I got Bay at 27. All right, Barnes it is. And so the lineup here, we got, I didn't put large field. Hold on. Large contest, 25 to first. Okay. We got Reed Shepherd, Shaden Sharp, Dylan Brooks, Scotty Barnes, Clint Capella, Jamal Shed, Alperen Şengün, Harrison Barnes. Positive ROI. We did it. Max Rockets. That's a good question. I would say generally, I was running into this a little bit yesterday with Philadelphia. I was going to say like 5 max for Philly, and the projections kind of leveled out. And they got less when Washington value looked a little bit better. I would say in general 5, because like 5 is an entire lineup that can start and close together. But practically it's probably like 4. But in my brain, I think 5 feels about right. But that's our lineup, guys. So I'm gonna give you guys my splash plays for the day as well. You probably have an idea based on the lineup that we just built. But I first of all appreciate you guys being here again the day before a holiday. I know some of you guys probably hanging around at work right now, so I appreciate you guys being here and finding the brain space to do it before we all have a day off tomorrow. But show some love if you can. It goes a long way for me here to fight the YouTube algorithm. If you hit that like button and subscribe, I'm here doing the work every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Saturdays as well on Stokastic. I do a live before lock show and update my data for people that are paying for it here. I work really hard at this. I hope it shows when you guys watch the video. More than anything, I just need your support if you're going to watch these videos and just fade everything I say or listen to everything I say. Just just help me out here. It's all a battle, and I'm just trying to keep moving this channel up, and really been happy with the growth. A month and a week in, like, this channel's much bigger than I thought it would be, being unsponsored this year, especially. So let's keep it going as best we can. I'm strapped in through the NBA Finals, so we'll keep grinding here as best we can. Of course, check out Stokastic too if you want to support the show. Get 15% off for yourself, and that's of any deal. NBA, NFL, NHL, NASCAR, that's not going right now, MMA, any sport they have, 15% off. All the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff, it's 15% off, and half the money you pay to them comes back to me. Big way I'm able to support what I'm doing here, so please click that link. Even if you're going to take their gravy deal right now that gets you half off of a week, you can do that, but just click the link and then do it. And of course, join the channel here. $5 to join on the supporter tier, the Splash Play family tier. But if you want to get access to my data, all the shit I show you here on screen, my data that I lovingly update, that I think works pretty well, you get that for yourself by joining the Squirt Squad tiers down below. All right, Splash Plays for the day. Right now, Clint Capella has to be one. I hope better value opens up, but even if something opens up, I don't think it's going to be 3K minimum salary value with a real obvious need to fill minutes with Eason, Durant, and Steven Adams out. It's now a lot of fours that are out of the seam, and like they haven't seemed to want to use Jeff Green yet. So I think Capella gets that run, and at 3K, it's hard to ignore. Besides him, Dylan Brooks, a splash play today. Price tag people aren't going to want to pay, but he has been shooting aggressively and occasionally shooting the lights out. They're in this run with Phoenix so far. Shaden Sharp, if he plays, would be one. Jamal Shed as a value would be one if we don't get better value opening up. Barely above the field on Goodwin. I like Scotty Barnes a lot conceptually. Şengün, I like the ownership on a lot. And if you get Giannis out, Ryan Rollins, perpetual splash play. I know that people will be like down after last game, but we're back to Grimes Town from last year. If you get Giannis out, play Ryan Rollins in a pace-up spot and hope he hits. The defense might be tough on him. Tamani Kamara like really busted his ass last game. It was not fun to watch. But if he gets going, he can put up like 50 fantasy points pretty easily. And I think people will be off the train after Ryan Rollins busted last time, assuming that Giannis doesn't play. But happy Thanksgiving, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, I'll be back on Friday for Black Friday. Not because it's Black Friday, but I'll be here because I'm going to do that work regardless. So tune in then. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time here on this channel. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel on YouTube at SplashPlayBets, on Twitter at SplashPlayPod, and I will see you guys again soon. So again, happy Thanksgivings. Enjoy your days, guys, and good luck, and bye-bye.